Hi, my name is Bill Huey. I'm the president of the Fair Housing Coalition. We're an organization that believes in equality under the law and fairness for both landlords and renters. What you're going to see on this video should infuriate anyone in America who believes that we're a country of laws. In the city of LA, we have the LA Housing Department, which recently changed its name to LA Housing and Urban Development. But for the sake of brevity, I'm going to call them the LA Housing Department. This is a criminal organization that's part of the city of LA. What they do is they violate the rights of housing providers and the rights of tenants. Now, I could spend an hour telling you all the things I know, but for the sake of brevity, what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to give you a quick 2-minute overview. Then you're going to see a video that will shock you, and then you're going to hear Attorney Thomas Nitty recap and tell you why this is all illegal.
Hello, hi, my name is Candace Graham and I'm a civil rights advocate. We're here at a property where the owner is being harassed, tortured, and discriminated against. And there's a restraining order filed. You can see that the property looks beautiful. There's a restraining order filed, and we are here to see, and not only that, they're in court right now and they've said that they cannot do the inspection. So they're trying to use strong-arm tactics against us today. Today is December 10th, 2014. Thank you. No, I don't want him forward. I got attacked the other day. I don't want him forward.
He's not attacking you. He's got a court order.
But I have one that supersedes that. And they attempted to hit the owner of the property the other day. Sorry about that, you guys.
It's okay.
This restraining order. Okay. Thank you.
Ma'am, if you're a health inspector, why are you afraid of being videotaped? Okay, I believe they intimidated the tenant into going into the apartment.
We are, but we're going to go to the attic first. Permission described above, providing the keys to all dwellings and or a locksmith to open the door if necessary. Go ahead, sir, and unlock the door.
Department, can somebody answer? Which part of LA Housing Department?
And he was a member of that housing inspection.
They're breaking the locks.
They did fake inspection.
Stand by. All right, we're rolling now. Go ahead. What did they do to your building the other day?
You know, what they've done is they brought the police and they brought the locksmith, they brought the health department, they brought the fire department, they brought everybody, you know, in the building, and they were breaking in the tenants, you know, apartments.
So they were going in without a warrant to these tenants' apartments?
Well, they have a warrant, but that warrant, you know, it's against the law warrant. They went in front of the judge and they were lying in front of the judge, tell him that this building is totally illegal, there are probably criminals here, all these things, and they have to break the doors. And that we have fire hazards, we have health department issues, you know, building and safety issues. And the funny thing, the building and safety is on the way here. They told them, and they told us several times, that they're illegal here, illegally.
All right.
Because the building and safety is the one that issues the permits for you, and the building and safety is the one that signs off the permits. Well, they told them that they're here, everything looks fine to them, okay, everything is in progress concerning their inspections, and they asked them to leave. And they did not do that. They came here this morning and they want to break, like at Alvarado Terrace, they want to break, you know, the doors, and the tenants, these people you see are tenants, they're furious, totally furious.
Didn't you have some kind of court order for them to leave you alone?
Yes, it was the court order, you know, for Alvarado, for example. It says that everything is legal in the building, you know, and they still ignore the court order. Plus, they were supposed to come every 3 to 5 years for an inspection. They came a year and a half, and I told them.
All right, Mrs. Olivares, you're sitting here with your husband, su esposo.
Yes.
He vino at housing department. The housing department came in,
Yeah, he's coming.
and they broke the lock.
Is-
They was a locksmith, right?
He broke the, yes.
And they came in even though you had put this sign on the door
Yeah.
to leave you alone,
Yeah.
because everything is fine in your apartment, and you have a right to privacy,
Yep.
right? And you don't believe they should be forcing their way into your apartment. How did that make you feel when they violated your privacy?
I feel very bad because he's broken my privacy.
Okay.
And that is, I think we need a privacy
They
in the house.
So you feel they should respect the sign. If you say, I don't want an inspector in my apartment, everything is fine, you believe the city should respect that
I know.
and not push themselves in your apartment, right?
Yes, we need a respect.
So what message do you have from Mayor Garcetti? Do you want to say to Mayor Garcetti, please respect my privacy? I have a right to privacy?
Yeah.
All right, we're in front of apartment C. Alejandra, now you weren't here the other day when they came and they inspected to try to get into your apartment. Your dad was here by himself.
Yeah.
Now, you had a sign on the door, signed saying denial of entrance. But yet they ignored that and they shook your dad up. You know, he saw all these inspectors, he saw a policeman. You know, it's kind of a violation of privacy when you have a sign saying leave me alone. How did that make you feel when you found out they were trying to break the lock with a locksmith and push their way in? How did it make you feel?
Well, actually, when we came home, he told us what happened, and we were kind of worried because he's sick, and we didn't like it.
Oh, he's sick, like he got a heart attack or something over it.
Well, he's on a treatment, but we didn't like it when he told us that they got in.
So what message would you have from Mayor Garcetti or the LA Housing Department? To leave you alone, respect
Right.
your right to privacy?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Please respect the privacy, because if we have a sign on the door, you should respect that, right?
Juan, usted tenía un anuncio en la puerta y had a sign on the door for the housing department to leave you alone, que no te molesta. Entonces vinieron y abrieron la puerta, they had a locksmith, they opened the door. How do you feel? Una violation of privacy, ¿cómo te sientes cuando con la policía y todo estaban tratando de empujar y entrar a tu apartamento? With a policeman there and they were trying to enter your apartment. ¿Cómo sentiste eso?
Bueno, pues yo siento que me están quitando mi privacidad. Que
Creo-
no, yo no tenía ninguna cosa que ocultar, simplemente
Sí.
vino alguien y forzó la puerta y metieron.
Sí.
Yo no estoy de acuerdo en eso.
Okay, what he's saying is he's not in any kind of trouble or anything, so why are they pushing in his door? It's a violation of his privacy.
Correct.
Tú querías que no te molestaban, right? You wanted them not to come in your apartment and leave you alone, ¿verdad, señor?
Sí, sí, todo. Hubo una confusión ahí tan rápida que vi un cerrajero, abrió todo ahí. Y ahí yo me quedé un poco molesto. Sí.
See, so it was confusing. The guy opened the door. They all came in real quick. It shook you up, te molestó, ¿verdad?
Ya, sí, alguien vino a abrir, pero
No es correcto, no.
no está bien. Es la
Está bien, it's not a
privacidad
good
que
thing.
le quitan a uno la privacidad.
Yes, invading your privacy. Muchas gracias, Juan. Chris, I have a question to ask you. Recently, the LA Housing Department came into this building, and many tenants had signs on the door, do not enter, you know, I don't need you in here. And they just disregarded the signs, and they went into every apartment, whether people were home or not. Now, you were home with your baby, giving the baby a bath, right? And you had just come out of the shower or something. What happened when you heard some noise or you looked outside? You saw a bunch of men walking through your apartment. Tell us what went through your mind, what you felt at that time.
At first, I knew that there were people coming in. My husband told me and my brother-in-law told me. And then since I saw the letter that the owner put on the door,
The do not
I felt
enter, yeah.
comfortable. I felt comfortable that, oh, it's okay, they're not going to go inside. And then the day went by, I cleaned the house and I cooked and we bathed together. And then when we were taking shower, I locked the door first. the door from the living room and the door from our room. So we were inside and taking shower. I didn't hear any knock, but then I heard someone banging the door. And I got so nervous because we were still both naked, and he's still on his soap.
Right.
So I couldn't do anything, so I had to grab him and then put him on his towel, and I put on my towel. When I went out the door, I looked at the mirror, the glass mirror, where you can see if somebody's outside. There were like a lot of guys walking around, going around back and forth through our hallways, and then I got so nervous.
They were already inside your apartment once you came out of the bathroom.
Yes, they were already inside. They went upstairs, and then somebody's like checking the room of my daughter, checking the room of my brother-in-law, and then when I tried opening the door, and then there were so many like big guys, and I got so nervous, and I felt like my privacy got invaded. I'm still naked and I'm still wet, and then ever since that day, I felt so nervous every day. I have anxiety attacks that even if I'm taking shower alone, I have hallucinations that if somebody's like knocking or banging the door, and I couldn't take shower anymore. I always take shower so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you think this is a horrible or a good thing that people can push their way in the apartment, even though you had a sign on the door, denial of entrance, that they come in? This is like almost like a communist government thing, or what needs to be changed? Do you want the law to prevent this from happening?
Yeah, because there were a lot. They bought their own locksmith so they can open the door. I think that's wrong because that's invasion of privacy.
Right. You've done nothing wrong. You've committed no crime.
Yeah.
There's no crime going in here. Why are they coming in?
Yeah, and I was alone. They were checking the room of my daughter, the room of my brother-in-law, and our own room.
Right.
All at the same time.
Right.
And of course, I want to be there while they're checking each room, but they were like doing it all at the same time.
Yeah. There was
they were all scattered, and then I couldn't do anything. What did they? Put something in there or do something in there,
right. So you had an LAPD officer come up the steps, right?
Yes, I also got afraid because
Right, and then you had 3 people from housing department and 2 health inspectors and the locksmith,
guys.
Right? Mm-hmm. That was almost like your privacy, the sanctuary of your home got destroyed that day.
Yes.
Now, your husband here. What did you think when your wife called you in a state of panic like that? What went through your mind?
Well, I got nervous because there was a sign that clearly said that they're not allowed to enter.
Right.
They just forced their way through. It was unconstitutional what they did.
Right.
And when she called me, I got nervous. I was shaking, and she told me there are men here. There are 10 big men here. They're police officers. They're going through our rooms.
Right.
And I got nervous because I didn't expect that this would happen, and it was like she said, an invasion of privacy. And then I asked her what happened, and then she said
I was shaking. I couldn't even speak.
Right.
I couldn't even grab my phone. I couldn't even text. That's the reason why I called him.
I told her the day before, if somebody knocks the door, don't open or tell them that they're not allowed to go inside.
Right. You have a right to privacy.
And then I asked her how did they get in, and she didn't know. And she told me that she went downstairs, and then she opened the door, and then she was asking her how did they get inside, because she didn't know how to get inside. And then there was an officer blocking the way, and the officer said, if you have something to ask, you gotta ask me. And then he was also trying to shut her down, taking away her rights, but then she answered the question that they got a locksmith.
They're trying to bully us around, even when I got here, because he was all the way in Tarzana, so she had to call me. And I got her text messages, and I just told her to take the baby and just get out of the house if you feel unsafe.
Yeah.
But then I just came all the way from West Hollywood to over here. I had to drop everything and just come over here. And then when I got here, there was 10 policemen standing downstairs, and then I was asking if I could go upstairs. I said, oh no, you can't go upstairs. And then somebody else said, oh no, he's a resident, he has the right to go upstairs. They were trying to bully everybody around. And
June, you're a resident of this building on Alvarado Street, where a week and a half ago or so, the LAHD came in with 3 inspectors, and they brought in 2 health department people, and they brought in two police officers, and a locksmith. I think that makes like 10 people or so. Now, the reason we believe is the LAHD has a little agenda against the landlord because he beat them in court and got an injunction to leave him alone, and they went to another judge, from what we hear, and made up a bunch of lies that the building's in very bad condition and they need to come and do another inspection, whereas the building is very nice. Now, were you home when they came in?
Yes, I was.
Now, did you let them in, or did they undo your lock?
No, I did not allow them in. They did not try to undo my lock.
Okay, so they knocked on the door and you answered and you talked to them?
No, earlier, at the time that they were pasting all these papers all over the building,
Right.
I was expecting someone to come to my unit,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw them, and I thought, oh, are you who I'm expecting? Because you have these papers?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, no, we're here, we're posting up these papers because we're going to be entering each unit. And I thought, well, that sounds strange. Entering each unit for what? You don't need to come into my unit. I already have, everything is just fine. As a matter of
Right.
fact, I just had new tiles put in. I'm waiting for my carpet to be put in.
Right.
And so I said, and so I allowed him into my little yard area, and I allowed him to paste this just so I could read what was on there.
Okay.
And when I read the paperwork, I thought, well, this seems unusual, because it seems like you should give someone the authority not to come in on a day when people are working, but
Right.
come in on a day when people would be home.
Yeah.
Because in this building, most people are working.
Right.
I happen not to work. I'm on SSI,
Mhm.
and I have an injury that I'm
Okay.
having to deal with, unfortunately. But so the fact that we had that acquaintance when they were coming in and putting the papers, the day that he saw me,
Mhm.
I said, no, you may not enter my apartment.
Did they try to intimidate you by waving the warrant?
No,
in?
he didn't, because at that day we had a strong, kind of, I addressed the
Okay.
fact that, well, this is not necessary.
Right.
And he saw that I was not, but then I allowed him to come into my little area and for
Right.
him to post that paper. But when I saw what the paper said,
Right.
and he told me that we're going to be having in every unit, and I thought, well, this seems strange. Why would you have to do something like that with such little time,
Right.
allowing people? And the fact that we had a paper that stated where you can sign your name, your writing, and then you printed your name
Right.
too. You did not have to allow these people to
Right,
come
you have
into
the
unit.
option to
That's
opt
right,
out
you
of
have
it.
the option.
Because you have rights to privacy.
Yes.
And unless they suspect criminal activity, they can't come in.
And when I saw that they were violating that,
Mhm.
I could not believe when I heard that someone was trying to come in. I have 3 doors to my unit. I have kind of like a long unit and a little bit wide. It's kind of like an unusual L
Okay.
shape. It's like 2 apartments put together.
Right.
So I have a front door, kind of like a door that we've always had.
Mhm.
For 14 years I've lived here.
Mhm.
I've always had a bookcase in front because the walls are so broken up with the doors that I can't place my furniture.
I see.
But that one happened to be open at the time.
I see.
And we have another elongated room that has another door. When they tried to get in the door, I said, excuse me, who's trying to enter my door? Well, this is the housing authority. And I said, I'm sorry, my unit is perfectly fine. And when I chose to come out, they
Through the other
recognized
door.
and I saw all the people.
Right.
I was blown away. I thought, maybe 3, 4, 5 people, but I thought there seemed to be like 10, 12, 13 people there.
Right.
I was blown away, and the fact that our tax dollars are paying for each and
Yeah.
every one of these people to come and do something like
Right,
that.
right. They have an agenda against the owner, so I guess they don't mind using all these city employees just to harass them.
I have, I was involved with the neighborhood, helping this neighborhood when I first came
Right.
here. And when I saw something like that happen, I was blown away. I can't even express to you.
Does it look like an abuse of power? Or?
Beyond abuse of power, yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. All right, Tom, you're Thomas Nitty. You're an attorney here in Santa Monica, California, and you represent landlords when they have problems with the City of LA, specifically the LA Housing Department and Building and Safety. Now, on this video people are watching, we're showing the Housing Department coming along, bringing a locksmith, and the Health Department, and breaking open or disabling every lock in a 21-unit building. Isn't that a little insane, or what's going? And even bring the LAPD to make sure no one gets in the way of these people. That's a little insane, isn't it?
Well, it's not only dangerous. I believe it's an unconstitutional violation of the residents' rights in that building. The housing department does that because they can get away with it. They say we represent tenants. You'll never find that happening in single-family home districts or in condominium buildings. Why? Because tenants are treated as second-class citizens by the city of Los Angeles, and breaking into tenants' units is proof of that.
Yeah. Now, what about, right now in the news across the country, unfortunately, there's been shootings with police officers shooting unarmed black men. And we don't know what happened there. We're not giving a judgment call on that. But suppose a tenant is in his apartment, minding his own business, maybe drinking some beer, and maybe a little drunk, but he's in his own apartment, he's not causing any problems. What if he turns around and sees a police officer walking into his apartment, followed by 7 people from housing and building and safety? What if he gets panicked and goes for a gun or something, and either he shoots a police officer or a police officer shoots him? That's a shooting that didn't have to happen. What do you think of that potential?
Well, this type of thing has happened, especially if people are not in uniforms. Anytime you authorize breaking into people's homes, you take the risk that the person in the home is going to misunderstand what's happening and go for a gun. And if that happens, you can have some real tragedies.
Okay, now this whole thing is because you have a client, a landlord, who's being harassed by the LAHD. They kept coming back and again to reinspect his property. They have a little vendetta against them. So you went to court, you won a writ which tells them basically to the housing department, leave this client alone. And what did they do? They went around that to another courtroom and got...
Well, the tenants in my client's building posted a notice that they don't want the housing department entering their units. And my client does not unlock the doors for the housing department. The reason is the California Civil Code recognizes various reasons to enter a unit. However, a landlord entering a unit to let a government agent in is not a recognized ground for a landlord to enter. Therefore, a landlord could be sued by the tenant if he opens the door and lets a government agent in. So the government agent's job is, if they want to go into the unit, knock on the door and ask the tenant if they can come in. And some tenants say, fine, come on in, but some don't. And the housing department doesn't like that. The housing department wants to show that it's the big boy on the block, so it goes and gets a trumped up warrant saying that they believe there's all kinds of danger on the property, when really it's just a fishing expedition. And they use that to convince a judge to issue a warrant so that they can force their way into the tenant's unit. I think it's a total abuse of the legal process.
Now, we went and followed these inspectors, and I was videotaping them. And they had one warrant, and they were saying that it gave them the authority to enter all 21 units in the building. How can one warrant without the tenant's name on it, say a guy in apartment 18, the cops aren't looking for him, yet they claim they have a warrant to go in? Is that legal, or what's going on here?
No, it's not. That's called a general warrant. And those were eliminated by the Magna Carta in Great Britain back around 1500, and it was also eliminated by the United States Constitution, which indicates under the Fourth Amendment that a warrant has to be specific as to specific person and specific property. This is a blanket warrant, which there's an exception that the Supreme Court has carved out for blighted areas, that the city can investigate buildings in blighted areas. But these buildings are not in blighted areas. This is a joke. The city is violating the law to get into these units.
Okay, and in closing, Tom, after people watch this video and they see the locksmith brought in by the housing department breaking open the doors, what's the one thing you would tell the people of LA to do? Call your councilman, call the mayor? How can we rectify this?
I would definitely call your council person, because I think the council people actually don't know what's going on. I don't believe any LA City Council person would tolerate the housing department forcibly breaking into tenants' units, especially when there's no reason to. I mean, there's no fire, there's no drug dealing or criminal activity going on. They just want to do a fishing expedition to see if they can find any kind of building or housing code violation. The residents should definitely complain to their city council person.
All right, thank you, Tom.